welcome to the next module of our course, The Treasures of Rome. Here from your Roman consul, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night, wherever you are in the world. It's story time. So in this module, we are learning to ignore and to avoiding overwhelm. This is the third module in a row on this theme, and it's the practice module. You're going to have so much fun. So in the past two modules, we have seen how to keep yourself grounded and how to avoid switching off after seeing hundreds and hundreds of works of art. This is what happens in Rome. You're going to be bombarded by works of art. How? By focusing your attention on stories. We covered some of the most popular stories you will come across in Rome. Some of them were from ancient mythology. Some of them were from the Bible. And some of them were from the story of Rome itself. So in this module, we will practice story hunting so that you know what to do when you are bombarded with masterpieces in the museums or the squares or the churches in Rome. Now, pretend you're in a museum or a palace or a church, and I will show you a few paintings or frescoes or sculptures and mosaics. Can you place them in a story you know, or in a story you can find more about? Because if you can connect with a story, you will enjoy them and you will remember them, no matter the artistic skill or lack thereof that you find. Ready? So what do you think when you see a girl, pretty girl, with a swan? This one is at the Galleria Borghese. Well, they are Leda and the swan. The swan was clearly Jupiter, or Zeus if you want to go by his Greek name. They are the mum and dad of Helen of Troy and of the Dioscurs, Castor and Pollux. Castor and Pollux, helped the Romans in the Battle of Lake Regillo. That was a battle against the Latins around 500 before Christ, in the early days of Rome. Now, what if you see a girl being rescued from a sea monster? This one is at the Accademia di San Luca, near the Trevi Fountain. Now, this one is Andromeda, and she is being rescued by Perseus, who is her future husband. And Perseus is also, if you remember, the half-brother of the Dioscurs and of Helen, because the dead Jupiter appeared as a shower of gold to the pretty girl of the time. Now, what did you see here? This is the floor at Villa Torlonia. There is a little boy who is fighting snakes. Who can it be? You guessed again, I'm sure. It's baby Hercules is fighting the snakes that his father's wife, Juno, sent to his crib. Why did Juno send the snakes to his crib? Because she'd had enough of Jupiter's affairs. He was having affairs right, left and center. And she just had enough of all these kids that were left behind. Now, Hercules, obviously being son of Jupiter, his half-brothers of Perseus, and of Castor, and Pollux, and Helen of Troy. And he's extremely popular in Rome for killing the monster Cacus. There's a temple of Hercules, which you can remember, it's the round one, and it still stands. It's the oldest marble temple still standing in Rome, and it's by the old river port, which now doesn't exist any longer, and the old markets that now don't exist any longer either, the cattle market and the veggies market, il Foro Boario, Il Foro Litorio, and because he was the god of trade. And remember, you can spot Hercules everywhere around town in statues, paintings, frescoes, and mosaics. You can normally recognize him when he's a grown-up because of the lion skin he wears all the time and from his big club. Now, this is a beautiful fresco, and what if you see a boy giving an apple to one of three girls? Are they girls? No, they're not girls at all. Of course, they are goddesses. That is the golden apple left by the goddess of discord, Ares. And that boy is Paris, the most handsome man of all. He is choosing Venus as the most beautiful goddess, which is gonna cause the wrath of Juno and Minerva. They're not gonna be happy at all, and they're gonna cry for revenge. And in fact, that is the spark that sets in motion the events, which then lead to the creation of Rome. Now, how did Venus thank Paris? Well, you can see her flying in the background. Venus thanks Paris by offering him Helen. That, as you know, is one of the daughters of Zeus, Jupiter. Sisters of Hercules and Perseus and the Dioscurs. And here she's being offered to Paris. Helen was the daughter of Leda, the swan, and Jupiter, and sister and half-sister to Castor, Pollux, Perseus, and Hercules, as we saw before. Now, what does Paris do next? This painting is by Gavin Hamilton at Palazzo Braschi, and it's dated about 1784. 1784. Now, he kidnaps Helen of Sparta at the time and brings her to Troy. She was a married woman to Menelaus. So Helen's husband, Menelaus, rallies all the other Achaean kings to go and fight Troy and get his spouse back. And as you know, Ulysses is trying to rally up all the Greeks, and he has to go and find Achilles to come and fight. But Achilles' mom, Thetis, had a prophecy whereby her son Achilles would be killed in the war at Troy, and so she had hidden him away, and as we saw in the past modules, she had hidden him and dressed him up as a girl. But Ulysses goes and unmasks Achilles with a trick. He shows the silks to all the girls. There are some weapons hidden in the silks, and Achilles is the only one who's actually very interested in the weapons. And so he goes to Troy to war. And what happens? What do you think when you see this painting? Can you spot any interesting details? I will help you. Which hero dies from an arrow in his heel? Well, that's clearly Achilles. And Thetis was quite right not wanting to send him off to the war in Troy, because here we've got Paris, who has just shot an arrow in his heel where he's vulnerable, and he's killed him. He was backed by and led by Apollo. The Greeks clearly trying to trick the Trojan, leave a gift, the horse. Not all believe the war is over in the Trojan camp. The high priest of Neptune, which we also call Poseidon, so Neptune, Roman way, Poseidon, Greek way. The high priest called Laocoon is not fooled. He is not happy. He tells the Trojan that surely there is a trick, that he fears the Greeks even when they carry gifts. So he throws a spear against the man-made horse, trying to warn all of his Trojan friends. But the goddess Athena, who's on the Greek side, is not happy. So she sends two huge sea serpents, Posete and Charybdea, to kill his two sons. Not very nice goddess, Athena. So Laocoon wrestles to save his children, but dies a painful death with them instead. And who do you think these are? You're at the Vatican museums. When you walk around, one of the biggest masterpieces that you will find on your way to the Sistine Chapel, and chances are you will come to this courtyard, is the Laocoon with his kids and the snakes sent by Athena, dying a painful death. Now, what happens when Troy is defeated? Are you familiar with the guy who runs away with his father and his son? Yes, you are. Who runs away from Troy with his dad Anchises on his shoulder and his son Ascanius? Yes, that is Aeneas, leaving Troy, on his way to Italy to plant the seeds of the Roman Empire. This is a super wonderful masterpiece by Bernini. You will enjoy it no end. It's at the Galleria Borghese with plenty of other Bernini's masterpieces. What about this painting? Here we are at the Capitoline Museums. Do you recognize a lot of women being forced into submission? Well, it's a story of Rome, and at the beginning Rome did not have women. It only had rascals and shepherds. So they needed girls. So that is the rape of the Sabine women. Here in a painting by Pietro da Cortona at the Capitoline Museums. And then there's the other stories from mythology that are not part of big stories as we've seen up until now. So, who is a boy who runs after a girl who's got bark on her legs, leaves on her fingers, and roots on her feet? Very sad to say for the poor girl, who was a nymph, that they are Apollo and Daphne. Here by Bernini, another spectacular piece of art. At the Galleria Borghese. We can focus on these beautiful sculptures another time. And what if you see a man who refuses being seduced by a beautiful woman? Well, you know, it must be Joseph with Putifar's wife. This one is at Villa Borghese and it's by Ludovico Cigoli. What about a boy holding a massive severed head? This is one of my favorite paintings of the story of David. A lot of the other paintings are not quite as explicit to me. The heads of Goliath are not quite as huge. This is really stuck in my mind as one of my favorites, apart from Bernini's sculpture in the Galleria Borghese. It's definitely one of my favorites for David. Although it's not probably one of the most popular or the best, but certainly one of my personal favorites. Yes, it's David. He has just triumphed over Goliath. And this painting is by Giovanni Domenico Cerrini, and we are at the Galleria Spada, if you want to go there and have a look. Ooh, this is a bit of a strong image, like all the other beheadings. Who is a beautiful woman who is beheading a strong man in his bed. And there is also an old servant who is ready to catch the head and put it in a cloth and then in a basket and take it away. That's the wise and virtuous widow Judith. She is saving her people from certain defeat and possible death by tricking and beheading the enemy general Holofernes. And here we find it painted by Caravaggio at Palazzo Barberini. What about these paintings? I love this one. Who do you think she is? There is a skull and there is something to whip herself. As you might have figured, she is the penitent Magdalene. This one is by Guido Cagnacci and it is at Palazzo Barberini. And normally, have a look, this is one of the Madonnelle, and they normally represent the Madonna, the Virgin Mary. But have a look, she's got a lot of hair, this one, and she is not the Virgin Mary. We are close to the Pantheon in Piazza della Maddalena. So from now on, I expect you to recognize if there is a girl possibly holding a skull, reflecting on our mortality and our sins, and with a whip, with very long hair and beautiful hair. That is probably the Maddalena, and you can recognize it yourself. So sometimes we do not know much about the story behind a painting or a series of paintings, but we can sense there is something worth knowing. I'm going to show you something that interests me, might not interest you at all, but I find quite curious, and I'm sure there is a story behind it, although we do not know it. You can make it up in your mind. So have a look. We got a pretty girl with goggly eyes, and you can meet her at Palazzo Braschi. May she be a princess? I wonder. Well, no, it turns out that she is a little boy, and here he's dressed as an antiques dealer. But here we find him as Cupid, with the bow and arrow and the wings and the heart, pretty in pink. His name is Pietro Banchieri. Here we see him dressed as an oriental figure. Why do you think he was having all these dress-ups? Was it his mother, or was it him? Or what do you think the story is behind this child? Here we see him as a dancer, and here we see him as a Swiss guard. They've all been painted in 1667. Why so many paintings? We don't know what really happened, but you might have a go at guessing. So what stories can you build around this boy? By the way, here we are at Palazzo Braschi, right next to Piazza Navona. Did his mother love sewing and he was sporting her creations? What do you reckon? Did he not have long to live? Did the family want to remember him at his happiest in carnival dress-ups? I don't know. But you can make up all sorts of interesting stories about this boy. And especially enjoy the process. Go wild with your imagination. See what you come up with. So let's recap. In the last 3 modules, we have seen works from lots of different places around town. Palazzo Barberini, the Capitoline Museums, the Galleria Borghese, Galleria Spada, Palazzo Corsini, which is in Trastevere, Palazzo Colonna, which is next to Piazza Venezia, Palazzo Braschi, next to Piazza Navona, Villa Farnesina in Trastevere, again right next in front of Palazzo Corsini, Villa Torlonia, north in the northern part of Rome on the Via Nomentana, Accademia di San Luca, right next to Fontana di Trevi. And you can get even more at the Vatican Museum, clearly next to St. Peter's, at the Galleria Doria Pamphili, which is a gem and it's hidden in a palace that looks grey, but inside is fantastic, and it is in Via del Corso, not far from Piazza Venezia. Palazzo del Quirinale, which is only rarely open because it's the residence of the President of the Republic, and it's on the Quirinale Hill. Palazzo Farnese, which is right next to Campo dei Fiori, and it's the French embassy, so it's really difficult to get in. You need to book in advance with your passport number. Got Palazzo Pamphili, that is on Piazza Navona, and again it's the Brazilian embassy, so it's in rare occasions so that you can go and visit it. Still, once a week I think you can go and visit it. And there is the Galleria di Arte Moderna, which is right next to Villa Borghese in the northern part of Rome. And plenty of other smaller museums and plenty of churches where you can find more masterpieces. The gist is, in Rome there is too much for you to enjoy. So you have to be selective or you will be drowned in art and end up with overwhelm. How can you be selective and focus only on some pieces and keep yourself grounded? Well, look out for stories. Your brain loves stories and they will help you. So what do you have to do? You have to ask yourself, is this masterpiece telling you a story you know or you can read about? Have you ever read a book or watched a movie or heard a story about this? Can you read the notes to the painting or Google the story on your phone? If a work of art does not tell your story or evoke emotion, you have to be strong. And you have to ignore it for now. You have to give yourself permission to do that, or you will feel like you have to see, love, and understand everything, and you will switch off. You can ignore things because you can come back for more, because you will not be scared of museum overwhelm. You have got a technique to approach the museum. You go through that. You can do it again as many times as you like. And you will have loved what you're focused on. You don't need to understand or enjoy everything now. You can come back next year, the year after that. It does not matter if a piece of art you like is by an artist that you have never ever heard from. It doesn't matter if you do not enjoy a masterpiece by one of the great masters. The important thing is that you decide what you enjoy. Don't be fooled into thinking you have to like the big names masterpieces and not so much the ones that are not so famous. You have to give yourself permission to enjoy whatever you enjoy, even if it's not what your partner or your book or your guide say you should enjoy. And you're going to have a fabulous time. Now you can download the story below, and it's about a very Roman story which has been painted and sculptured many times. You are likely to find illustrations of it in most Roman galleries, and if you want to Google it, just put in the browser the Roman Charity and see what comes out. This is just one of the paintings of the Roman Charity. This one is by Niccolo Tognoli at Galleria Spada. This story is over 2,000 years old, and it's got a slight variation, but it's always the same story. I will leave you to it to discover, but you will find a woman breastfeeding an old man with their child who possibly is hassling her because he wants the breast as well. What is this all about? Download the piece below and start reading. From your Roman consul, Maria Cristina Saraceno, focus on the stories and you are going to have a great adventure in Rome. Ciao ciao!